Welcome to Japan Station, where people come to talk about Japan. My name is Tony, and today we're doing things a little bit different. So I have I guess I kind of had another show called Ichimon Japan, but I've decided to put them all together just here on the Japan Station show. So all the episodes are coming here, which means my co-host from Ichimon Japan is also now on Japan Station. So, hey Ryan.
Hello.
All right, so this is going to be basically very much like what we've been doing for a long time on Ichimon Japan. But again, it was like one episode a month over there, one episode a month over here on Japan Station. So I thought, you know what, let's just bring it all, make it super easy, put it over here on Japan Station. So now you're my co-host on this show, but same stuff, different name. All right. So, and I guess for anybody that's not aware, we are both graduates of the University of Hawaii's Japanese Language and Linguistics Master's Program. So we love to overanalyze Japanese and Japan stuff. So that's where we met. So yay. All right. So
Yay.
woo! So okay, so let's get into the episode then. So I'm not doing the one question, blah blah. We're just gonna get into it. So today we're talking about
Let's be
10.
honest, it was never one question.
It never was. That was always just a gimmick to talk about
Random
weird things.
topic that you later tried to think of a way to convert into a question that actually was
Yes.
probably more like 16 questions.
Yeah. So after doing that for like, I don't know, almost 80 times, I've decided, like let's just give up that, facade. So all right.
I
So
still demand the weirdly named Tony theories, though.
well, yeah, of course. Whenever I come up with an idea for that, I will happily throw out my own original theories that have strange acronyms. But yeah, so today, what are we talking about today? So we're talking about 10 Japanese words we learned from anime. So I've been watching anime for a very long time. And I know, like, Ryan, you're not that much into anime. You watch some. I know you watch movies more, though, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But you also have played a lot of video games in Japanese, right?
Yes, that is my main tool of studying Japanese.
Yeah. So, well, I did create a list of the 10, words that I learned from Japanese, but we're going to throw in some, random stuff like a little bit of video game stuff and all that from Ryan's experiences as well. So let's get into it with the first one, which is Ryan.
Jinzo Ningen.
Yeah. So
I'm
if
gonna be
you've
honest,
watched,
I've never heard this outside of anime.
uh,
Specifically this one
yeah,
anime.
that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, I've only heard it. Okay, so Jinzo Ningen means artificial human. Android is the common translation. And I learned this from watching Dragon Ball Z. I'm pretty sure because there's of course the Android saga, and they throw this word around a lot. You hear
Jinzo
Jinzo Ningen.
Ningen 18
Yeah, Jinzo Ningen. It's also Juhachi and Ju Nana, 17 and 18, and the other ones that get destroyed. And yeah, Dr. Gero creates all the androids, and they go crazy. So yeah, this word gets thrown out around a lot. Also,
Oh yeah, in case people didn't pick up, he is Dr. Ghetto and not Dr. Giro or whatever.
oh yeah, he's not French. He's yeah.
He's a frog sound? I don't quite get what they were
That's so
going for with that.
yeah. Ghetto also can mean puke.
Yeah, but
I don't think he's Dr. Puke.
yeah,
Uh,
I don't know why. I assumed it was because the sound a frog makes is like ghetto ghetto. So I assumed it was. Well, that's keto keto, isn't it?
Ghetto. I think so. Ghetto. I think I've heard ghetto as well.
Yeah, I think I have too. Like everything has like a family naming convention, like the Saiyans are vegetables and like the
Yeah,
angels are alcohol or whatever.
yeah,
I don't know what he's going with because the Red Army people that he's supposed to be a member, they're all colors.
yeah. That's so
But
true. Yeah, there's the blue guy, and the main guy is
it's
the
like
red
General
one.
Blue, Lieutenant Purple, or whatever. They're all just like
Yeah,
colors.
yeah. Because that character shows up in Dragon Ball Z, but he showed up in the original,
Oh,
Red
he doesn't show
Ribbon.
up. They pretend he was there all along.
Oh, okay, retcon, huh? Okay.
I don't know if they
Um,
added him into the anime, but I remember in the manga he was not featured in the actual Red Ribbon Saga.
God, okay, it's been so long, I don't remember, but yeah, that one has puzzled me. Yeah, I didn't look into it, but yeah, Dr. Gero, I'm not sure what that is a reference to. Um, maybe I'll look into it later. But yeah, Dr. Gero. So he creates the androids. Jinzo Ningen. Yeah, this I specifically remember learning from Dragon Ball because it would never come up in daily conversation, as you
Yeah,
said.
I mean, usually it's just like Roboto or something if they have similar things.
Yeah, Roboto or
I think I've
even
used an
Android.
Androido.
I think
Yeah.
I've heard Android as well.
What is Atomu called? Is he Jinzo Ningen?
Atomu. That's a good point. I'm not sure what they call him in the lore. Um,
Doraemon I know is famously Nekogata Roboto.
yeah, Nekogataro, a cat type robot would be the literal
My kids
translation.
always say cat type robot or a cat body robot.
Cat body robot. I mean that works, I guess. I mean, but in natural English, you just see it like a cat robot, I guess.
I'm gonna try to
Um,
quickly Google Astro Boy Atomu in
Astro
Japanese
Boy.
and see if it
Yeah.
says what he's supposed to
So
be.
I'll just throw in another thing here where there's this tokusatsu show, live action special effects show, literally like kind of Power Rangers ish and kaiju and all that. The show is called Kikaida, Jinzo Ningen Kikaida. And that was popular in Hawaii, and it's a very old one. It's like from the 60s. Or no, I think early 70s, if I remember correctly, or mid to early 70s. And yeah, the theme song is like Jinzo Ningen Kikai. So when I learned about Kikaida and I heard that song, I was like, oh, Jinzo Ningen, I know that word, you know. So it pops up in like the sci-fi and anime kind of stuff. So I don't know if you wanna did you find anything on Atomu on
The only phrase I saw was just Roboto, so
okay.
I haven't seen it, but in my very, very cursory 10-second search, I didn't find anything except Roboto.
Wait, what's the English word of Atomu? The English
He's
name?
Astro Boy.
Astro Boy. Okay, yeah. So Astro Boy, yeah, that's what we're talking about for anybody curious. Because in Japanese, it's Tetsuan Atomu. Yeah. All right, so that was Jinzo Ningen. Again, if you watch Dragon Ball Z Japanese, there are a lot of words that pop up again and again, or even the original Dragon Ball. So any of these anime shows, if you watch them, these are usually some of the most commonly used words in that show. All right, so what's the second one?
Zankoku.
Zankoku. So this word is
Sing it.
used. What?
Sing it.
残酷な天使の手勢. So
I think it's Zankoku no Tenshi, isn't it? Is it not?
no, I think it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not. 残酷な天使の手勢. I'm pretty sure it's not. And yeah. So this is obviously if you've watched the show, you know the song. 残酷な天使の手勢. Cruel Angel's Thesis is the theme
Okay, it's
song
not.
for what's it called, Neon Genesis Evangelion, right? And this is the very first word that you hear in the theme song, right? Zangoku, right? So cruel means cruel. So I mean, you don't hear this word that often in daily conversation, but it is a word that people actually use as opposed to like Jinzo Nigen.
So what did you do in the weekend? Well, I made some artificial humans,
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
Yeah. And then they call you Zankoku for playing with, playing God. But yeah, Zankoku na. It's a na adjective. All right, so let's get into number 3.
Well, I wanted to add in my own
Oh yeah,
experiences. So real quick, I think for
yeah,
me, like probably 90% of people in Japan, Jinzo Ningen was also from Dragon Ball.
yeah.
Zankoku, I think I actually heard from a song. There's like a hard rock band in Japanese. And like I don't remember exactly which one it was,
Mhm.
but I remember when I eventually heard the Evangelion theme, like I think I already knew the phrase.
Right. Yeah. Like with some of these words, honestly, I can't remember if it really was the anime, but when you start to hear it, like every single time you watch the show, that's what really can really have you remember it, right? It really sticks in your memory. Yeah. So all right, so then what's number 3?
Next one is Bariki.
Bariki. So this is I'm a big fan of Initial D, and I watched that very very long time ago. And this is a word that pops up a lot. It means horsepower, and if you break down the kanji, it literally
It is
just means
literally horsepower.
power. Bariki. Yeah. So they throw around 350 bariki, like 350 horsepower, and this and that.
Were
So
you like into cars back then?
no, I was not into cars at all, and Initial D got me into cars.
Okay, so you did become into cars.
Yeah. For a while, yeah, I was, and I got a Toyota Celica, and I
Raced
messed
around
up.
the mountains of Japan and
No,
had
the
your
no
child taken
mountains.
away.
No, the no mountains of Miami, Florida.
I'm
Yeah,
just
there's
gonna throw out that little tidbit since it like popped into my head right now. There was actually a video someone posted on like YouTube or something, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It
Yeah,
was like a Japanese guy, I probably a fan of Initial D, who was like speeding through really narrow mountain uh, streets
yeah,
and filming it with his
yeah.
kid in his car
Oh my
because
god.
he thought he was cool, and I think it just ended with Child Protective Services going after him for child endangerment.
Yeah, that's no, no, don't do that. Do not do that. Yeah, there is a specific disclaimer like at the beginning of every Initial D episode. I'm pretty sure it says something like "Don't do this."
Also, I've thought this my whole life, and people have always told me like, "Oh, the countryside's different." But after living in Japan for almost 15 years, that is total fantasy. Like racing is not big at all here. There's way too much traffic everywhere, and the mountain roads you'd be suicidal if you want to
Yeah,
race.
look, look, back in like the 80s, 90s, whatever, things were a little crazier than they are now, I think, but I don't think it ever was to the extent like the formalized illegal structure
Yeah,
that they do at Initial
I've
D.
I've encountered more like I don't know illegal racing in America much more than in Japan.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I've literally never seen it once in Japan.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like, yeah,
Even
I
cars that are tricked out, I have like in again in like my 13 years here, maybe twice I've seen a car, and it's never racing. It's just like it's just stuck in traffic on the highway, but its engine's really loud.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that does depend on the region. And I have been to a couple car shows in Japan where they do have like the tricked out, just normal cars. But yeah, again, I think Initial D, that's the um suspension of disbelief that you have to take with Initial D, right? That they could actually close down a mountain that these just high schoolers and like 20-year
Yeah,
olds
high
could
schoolers
close
don't
down.
even drive in Japan.
Well, 18-year-olds, they're barely still in high school. But yeah, that they can close down a mountain to race for like 30 minutes or whatever, these races that take like 5 episodes or whatever. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's not necessarily realistic.
I
Now,
guess so. I only
go,
saw like
go
one
ahead.
episode of that, but I think that became popular with my friends almost the same time as Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, it was around the same time. Yeah.
And number three was like the Tokyo Drift one, where they try to make it like it's this big culture here, where a whole bunch of non-Japanese people are racing in Japan because they didn't actually cast any Japanese actors.
Yeah, yeah. That movie was so just over the top that I actually enjoyed it. But
But yeah, that one was actually more urban, and like that 100% does not exist. Like even at night, there's traffic. Like
yeah. Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly.
unless I don't know. Sometimes I've been out like middle of the night, and you just see a whole swarm of taxis. Maybe when they get bored and can't find customers, they're just racing each other for fun.
Yeah. 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 I assume.
That would be a fun manga, like the taxi underworld, where they're just like racing
Taxi
like there's no one
racing.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Initial T.
and like so in Japan, like Uber exists, but you can't do ride sharing with amateurs because there's a law that you have to have a taxi license. So all it does is summon like a taxi cab.
Oh my gosh, this sounds
So
like a manga.
yeah. Like so I'm thinking someone like requests Uber and it goes into like 10 different cars and they're like racing each other there, crazy taxi style.
Yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
And we completely invert the whole like high school student. It's like 46-year-olds
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's
with
funny.
their
That's
white
funny.
gloves.
But anyway, yeah, Bariki gets used a lot in Initial D. But here's the thing: like when you watched a specialized show like this, well, just about every show, is focuses on some kind of niche, right? Like Initial D is on cars. There's idol shows, there's sci-fi type shows, and space travel, and this and that, right? And whenever you take on a new genre, and when you're early in your Japanese learning journey, it can take a little while for you to catch on to a lot of these new words that keep popping up. But once you're a few episodes in, like it's the same words that pop up. So you really start to, absorb that, and you become, if you keep trying, right, and you actually actively listen and try to learn, you then become familiar with the how to talk about illegal car races and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So yeah, Initial D, like jumping into it at first was that was when my Japanese was not good at all. So I was using subtitles and all that. But now I can watch it and I understand all this like obscure car jargon.
Yeah, so I never had a car phase exactly. So I
Hmm.
learned Bariki embarrassingly late, like just a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
Which is funny because I even saw a couple restaurants. I think a ramen place called like Ichibariki,
Mm.
which I guess is 1 horsepower. And I knew the kanji was like literally horse and power, but I guess because the number was 1, I
Yeah.
just like it's literally talking about a horse or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, to get my game connections in Street Fighter V, when Abigail, my main character, wins, one of his win quotes would be like "Bariki ga chigaun da yo."
Yeah. So he's his is it a guy? Abigail is a
Very
guy?
very big guy. He is actually
Oh,
like 8 feet tall.
oh wow, okay. So Abigail is saying like, my horsepower is on a whole other level than
Yeah, yeah,
yours,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, like this is pretty specialized language in some cases. So like, unless you are shopping for a car or something like that, or you specifically absorb that kind of content, you may not learn bariki, even if you're like 5 years, 6 years into learning Japanese.
Weird timing. So
Mhm.
again, I have never had a car phase, and I'm not into cars now at all. But a friend who is into cars recently told me they stopped using both in English and Japanese like horsepower as a selling factor on things.
Yeah.
Like where they used to advertise it a lot, they don't really care about it. So I'm not even sure if it's. I mean, it's still the word they use, but I think you encounter it maybe less. I don't know. That's assuming
Yeah.
my friend was not full of crap.
Well, I think like one of the sales points nowadays is, especially with more electric cars, it might
Yeah.
be NEMPI, which is like the
Mm.
gas mileage, right?
Yeah, I had a friend who was, I think, shopping for a motorcycle, and he mentioned like none of them had like when you have the sticker that says like the gas mileage and all that stuff,
Hmm.
none of them said the bariki, and he was like not surprised. That thing made him realize that he hasn't seen that around as much.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, like Initial D was 90s. That's when like there were a lot
Yeah,
more
yeah,
sports
yeah.
cars and all that. Like I think there's just less of a
Wasn't
market
he
for
driving
sports
a
cars.
Honda Civic or something?
He was
No,
driving
he
a
had a Toyota
Treno.
something.
Yeah, he was driving
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Toyota Treno, which is basically the Japanese original version of the Corolla, um, but with a better engine. But the rest of the cars were all like Japanese, more sports car-y type, Skylines and like the RX-7s and all that. So you yeah, there's a lot of talk of horsepower. That's back in the 90s when Japan was producing a lot more of those cars, I think.
In case we have any Initial D fans out there,
Hmm.
I literally watched like 2 episodes of my life, didn't get into it. I don't know
Hmm.
if the anime is still going, but the arcade game is still going here.
Oh, it is.
It's not exactly common, but I do, since I like fighting games and go to like arcades a lot, you
Hmm.
still occasionally see it there. It doesn't look like a super old machine,
Hmm.
and it usually has people playing it.
I got into that game in high school, so this is a very long time ago. And I loved that game. I was so into that game. I had my little card with my custom car, and making my points and all that. And I got pretty good at it. And I would just. And this was in Miami. They actually had a machine there with the cards and everything. So yeah, I really, really got into that car. But that was like the first incarnation of that series.
Yeah, I guess there's 13 games.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's been like 20 years, so more than 20 years at this point. Yeah, it was a very fun game at the time. I don't know how it has evolved over the past 20 years.
Trying to find. Okay, yeah, there was an arcade one released in 2021. That's probably the newest one. So yeah, it's still
All right. Well, Initial D fans, you can still go play it in the arcades in Japan, which there are less arcades these days.
much less. They've all been converted into stupid crane game places.
Yeah, that's like the only thing. Yeah, like there used to be so many more right by the train station and all that, but yeah, the crane games are still surviving because I guess there's the physical component, and it's also like the date kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
place that you go to. Like let's
I've
go
lived here
play
long enough. I
crane
have
game.
like nostalgic areas, and a good way to depress myself is to try to visit my old arcade places where I used to play like King of Fighters 15 years ago and see that they've all either closed, been converted into pachinko, or been converted into crane games.
Yeah, yeah, it
And
doesn't
somehow
surprise me.
converting them into crane games bothers me the most. When it's just like a clothing store, it's like, okay, they just went out of business.
Yeah.
But when it becomes a stupid crane game, it's like, stupid exploitative nonsense crap.
Uh, and the metal games, I think they call them, right? Like the
Yeah,
coin games,
those.
whatever.
Yeah, we should do an episode on just weird things.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
can
like
definitely talk about
it's
that.
not like only here; it's just not in America.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Basically,
Uh,
real quick, imagine pachinko, but you don't win anything.
yeah, that's what always puzzled me about this. Is like, okay, what's the
You
point of this?
literally win nothing.
Yeah,
You
you
get
win
four.
nothing. Like, So why?
People say it's super relaxing and that they're into it. I guess if you're into pachinko and you don't want to lose all your life savings, it's better because even though you do pay to do it, like you're not betting lots of money.
Yeah. What?
It's yeah. The only thing you win is credits to keep playing, and you cannot cash them out.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, yeah. Again,
It
that
does
has always
bother me
puzzled
still
me.
that like the fighting games and like the shooting games that probably me and you grew up loving, those are
Yeah.
kind of dying. But
Yeah.
stupid nonsense game that does nothing is still going strong.
Like I get it because there's like a physical component to it. You kind of have to be there, but at the same time, like you can still do that digitally. Like it's not like a crane game where you actually get a stuffed animal, right? Like
Okay,
so
here's the
it
best way I
puzzles
can
me.
explain it. You know, like in the 90s, probably now too, in American arcades, it had that little thing where you like put in a quarter and it shoots it, and there's like little pushers, and there's like lots of quarters built up on ledges, and you try to get enough to like get pushed off
Yeah.
and fall down.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because they can't gamble, they don't give you the quarters, but you get like tickets or something, and you can go redeem it at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Imagine that, but when you knock all the coins out, you win nothing.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. That's why it always puzzled me because I'm used to the US thing where like you would get tickets and you get some crappy stuffed animal that's like been sitting there
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
like
It's that,
a
but you
year.
can't do that.
Yeah, at least you get, I guess you get some stupid like pencil topper or something. But yeah, in Japan's like, nope, you get nothing. You get the satisfaction that you know you did it.
It's not literally nothing. Like I said, if you knock 10 coins down, you do get 10 credits to keep playing, but you don't get tickets, you don't get a prize. It's just like, yay, good job for you. The end.
It's like the game of Sisyphus for medals or whatever
Yeah,
tickets.
basically, imagine all those ticket winning games, except just they don't give you tickets. It just says
Yeah,
like jackpot, good job, the end.
yeah. Let me let me pitch this to you. So it's like the ticket game, except you don't get any tickets.
And it worked. People like it.
Imagine if you could win something, but
But
you
instead,
don't.
you nothing.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Sorry. How did we got here from Bariki? Is that what we were talking about?
I honestly feel they're just trying to like train children to become gamblers in the future at their pachinko parlors.
Well, it's like okay, get a taste for it, but now you can actually go win something once you turn 18.
Specifically, get a taste for winning nothing, so they don't complain when they go spend all their money and
Yeah.
lose the pachinko.
Ah, jeez. Anyway, arcade. Was it, again? Did we start with Bariki and we got to these metal games? Is that how this?
Yes, I
Okay.
don't remember how this journey went, but yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so Bariki was the last one. What's the next Japanese word that I learned from anime?
Shokin Kasegi.
Shokin kasegi. Shokin kasegi. So this pops up in a few shows.
Yeah, this
Any
is
show,
around.
yeah, any show with bounty hunters because this means bounty hunter.
Let's say any Western-ish thing will have this.
Yeah, yeah. So
Maybe sci-fi too.
yeah, yeah. So well, in the late 90s there was sci-fi westerns, right? There was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Trigun, of course.
I'll just
That
jump on. Trigun is where I heard this.
Yeah, and I watched it at the same time when it was first coming out in the US, so I know I heard it there as well. Cowboy Bebop, of course, that was all about bounty hunters. They're cowboys, but they're Shokin Kasegi. That's that again, bounty hunter. Um, I remember I didn't watch it, but Outlaw Star was also like bounty hunters in space, basically.
I remember that name now that you mention it, but I don't think I watched it either.
Yeah, it aired on Cartoon Network, but I didn't watch it for whatever reason. And
You
there's
were too
been
cool for
other,
that one.
well, yeah, and then there's been a bunch of other, stuff. I'm sure I can't think of them off the top of my head, but yeah, shokin means prize money, and kasegi comes from kasegu, which means to earn. So it's like a person that earns from prize money, but it's shokin kubi is the bounty, like the person, right?
Yes.
So kubi literally means neck, but it's
Yeah,
used
but it
to kind
means
of
head.
refer, but it in
It
context.
literally means neck, but it actually literally means head.
Exactly. It actually means head. Yeah, it's used to mean head. So they're like bounty heads. I think I've heard that term in English. Bounty head. I don't know. Heads of bounties. Whatever. Doesn't really
There's
matter.
a
But
bounty on your head. I've heard that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, but anyway, Shokin Kasegi is literally bounty hunter. Well, not literally, but that's what it means, bounty hunter. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah,
Kubi
Shokin
is a
Kasegi.
weird phrase because if it's like kubi ni nata, it neither means head nor neck. It means you were fired.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly.
I
Which
became a neck.
いや、首にするとか、首になった。Yeah, I think the implication there is that they cut off your head.
Yeah, I think it's beheading too,
Yeah,
which is just, and this isn't, I need to stress, this is not like a slang thing that people sometimes use. This is the normal way to refer to being fired.
yeah. That's when you're fired. You're makubi. Well, the boss
I'm sure like
could be
whatever
used to.
form they give you doesn't say that, but in normal
Yeah,
conversation, this is the most common word.
and often it just gets transformed to just or shortened to just kubi. Like,
Mm. Yeah,
adoshita
could be that
could
or
be,
something.
yeah, and which is just like, what happened? Neck. That means like I got fired.
Definitely somewhere in the world, some guy's been like having a neck cramp or neck pain, and this
Yeah.
caused some kind of concern. Like,
Kubida,
what's
kubida.
wrong? Ah, Kubida. You got fired. No, 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 no. It's
No,
just
no, my
my neck hurts.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, kubi's a whole other word. I'm sure it goes back to like samurai times and getting your neck cut off, like by
Your neck cut off.
oh, sorry,
They
not your
leave
neck.
that in
Yeah,
place. They just cut
you're
off
you're
your
just
neck.
you're just a chin on top of your shoulders. Yeah.
It makes it difficult to look around.
Yeah, you got to turn the whole body. You're like Batman in the old suits. Um, so anyway, yeah, Shoukin Kasegi. What's up next then?
Oh, I'm sorry. We actually
Oh,
skipped one. We skipped one.
oh,
Unmei.
Ume. This one is another one that gets thrown around a lot in a bunch of shows.
Yeah,
Because
this one I cannot remember where I heard it because it's so common.
yeah, it's super common, but basically Ume means fate or destiny. And I remember hearing it a lot in Escaflowne. Um, this is another late 90s show. That's when I really started like actively watching anime. Um,
I had a friend who watched this, and just for fans who don't know, I want to tell them this was giant mech robots in medieval times.
yeah, it's a fantasy world with mechs and but it also had like a bishojo kind of angle to it in that like the men were very beautiful. Um, yeah, like there was this one character named Alan, and I think he was like the man so beautiful he's dangerous or something like that was his nickname. So it was a fun show. I enjoyed it. But yeah, Umme, there was this character that kept saying Umme. But also Berserk.
Okay,
Ume
I've
gets
heard
thrown
of
around.
that.
So Berserk in the original Berserk, in the I think it was 97, there was a little intro, a little narration that started every episode, and in that intro, they would always say like, "Oh, humanity is bound by destiny" or something like that. They would say Ume. I'm pretty sure that was always used. So that's another
Berserk
show
is
where I
giant
hear it a lot.
sword guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a
Someday I
big
want to
sword.
read the manga for that.
Well, Berserk is one of my favorites. So I do recommend dark fantasy, big
It's supposed to be
swords.
the biggest inspiration for like the whole Dark Souls Elden Ring thing.
I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah. So Ume gets thrown around a lot. Any show which has anything to do with Destiny, which is probably like 90%.
The modern day one's not so much, but anything fantasy, yes.
Yeah. So Ume,
You don't hear
Ume,
slice of
but
life like working at a Konbi stories talking about Unmei, I guess.
yeah.
But
But
my taxi driving racing one is all about Unmei. They all want to become
yeah,
Densetsu no Untenshi or something.
yeah, and then the
Unmei
one
no
character,
Untenshi.
yeah. So that's his Unme to become the Densetsu no taxi driver. Yeah. Initial T だからね. So
Initiative.
yeah. All right. So what's up next then?
Another one that for me is so everywhere, I have no clue where I heard it. You have two actually,
Yeah.
kawaii and sugoi.
Yeah, that's just freaking hell. Like even people that know no Japanese, if they watch, any anime, they're gonna hear kawaii and sugoi like everywhere, like it's constant. I mean, it's basically a meme at this point where again people go sugoi kawaii, like they don't even know Japanese, but they know those words. So kawaii, cute, sugoi. Sugoi is more versatile in that it can mean like great, it can mean amazing, it can mean like incredible, it can mean like wow. Yeah, it's pretty flexible.
Okay, I can add one small thing. So in Japanese, when you're, I don't know, a certain tone of speech drops the e after
Mhm.
adjectives, like instead of atsui, just like atsu.
Yeah.
I think the first time I heard that was in a fighting game where someone just said sugo instead of sugoi.
Yeah, that's very common. Yeah. So you drop the E and instead of and it's a sharp like end, right? So you
Yeah.
stop the wind in your throat. So instead of sugoi, it's sugo.
When it's written like in manga, I think sometimes they put like the small tsu
Oh
after
yeah.
like it's sugo.
Yeah, yeah, and that's called a glottal stop
It
for anybody that
is.
cares.
And a
Yeah.
glottal trill is basically a burp.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, those again, games, anime, dramas, movies, you're gonna hear these constantly. So and kawaii, these are two actually, yeah, and in daily conversation, you will hear these words a lot too as well. So
They're not as anime-ified as the Western. Like,
yeah,
kawaii just means cute. You hear it
mhm,
talking about like a baby or a puppy.
yeah,
Or girls will use it just, I mean, same as English speaking girls, if they go shopping and like they see some dress they like, oh, kawaii. Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, very daily use. Yeah, all over the place. Guys, girls, whatever. Yeah.
I guess I
Um,
will put out sugoi means, so if you look it up, it means like amazing.
mhm,
It's not 100% positive though. Someone can go like sugoi and it means like bad.
mhm, mhm.
Like if you go into like a very, very dirty room or something and it's your job to clean, like sugoi.
Yeah. すごいね, kore. Yeah, I say that a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Like you go like, oh wow. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about like,
Like
yeah,
kind
like
of
you said,
surprise
yeah,
feeling. So
like,
just in case you didn't know, not always positive, happy feeling.
yeah, or like surprised at how bad a service at a restaurant might be, or something like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
すごいね, kore. 最悪だね. Like, oh
Yeah,
man, this is
yeah,
horrible.
that's a. I think kawaii is always positive. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you watch anime, you're gonna hear these words a ton. All right, what's up next?
A very non-anime one. I don't know where you heard this. I want to hear your story.
Yeah,
Nogeka
no geka
or no
and
or
no,
no nogekai.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So this is again it when you watch a very well. Okay, I'll just say it's brain surgery and brain surgeon. Okay, so no gekai with the e at the end, that would be the brain surgeon. No geka would be just brain surgery in general. And again, going back to my point that we talked about initial D, when you watch a very specific genre of something, you pick up the words from that subfield or whatever it is that you're watching. And I watched this show called Monster, which is about a surgeon that gets framed for a crime, and he's a brain surgeon. He's a very famous brain surgeon, or a very, very successful brain surgeon. And he has to like go on the run, kind of like the fugitive, and then track down the person that actually is the killer. And so the very first episode, he's at the hospital and this and that, and there's a bunch of like hospital words, and he's a famous nogekai, and there's other doctor characters, and he has to go into an operation which they call ope. It's just ope. And so you pick up a bunch of like medical, like kind of adjacent and medical words. And I specifically remember hearing this there, even though I already spoke quite a bit Japanese by that point, but I guess I hadn't really studied, brain surgery words. So no gekai and stuff like that.
Yeah, so this one I don't have a story because
Yeah.
I just know it from the separate component words. No is brain
Yeah,
gekai
yeah, yeah.
surgeon.
If you see the kanji, yeah, and even like look, again, I don't know if like it was, I really doubt it was the first time that I heard it, but I know that it really made an impression on me because I was invested in the character. I wanted to specifically learn what was being said and understand all these random like medical words and all that. And I watched the whole show. It's like 52 episodes or something. It's a very good show. I highly recommend it. Again, it's called Monster in Japanese.
But to jump
There,
on the like
yeah.
very specialized knowledge, as
Mhm.
I legitimately I learned most of my Japanese from playing video games. That was my study method
Mhm.
10 years ago. Is I just like played RPGs because they have the most like dialogue
Yeah.
and just kind of went through them. I started with ones I already had played in English, so I'd have an idea what's going on, then moved into ones I didn't. But from that, I do have a large vocabulary of things that are very, very uncommon, such as the names of armor and weapons that often modern day Japanese speakers don't know the words for.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You learn a lot of stuff that is not that useful in daily conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes we go to like a museum and I'm like, oh, look, it's a Kusarigama. And like my wife's like, huh?
Huh? Yeah, I know, I know. I've had that experience a lot too. Yeah, it's like you know what those are called, right? It's like no, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like Muneate, Genji no Kote.
Yeah, see, I don't even know some of those. Because I didn't really get into the Japanese. Well, I played Japanese video games, but that was before I knew Japanese, and so
Ah, yeah.
I wasn't reading the stuff. But anyway, yeah. No gekai, no geka, brain surgeon, brain surgery. All right, what's next?
Sonna bakana.
そんなバカな. Oh my god, this is a phrase, but you hear this all the time, right? It's like literally it means like that kind of thing is stupid omitted. Like the
Yeah.
last
The last thing's
noun
gone.
is dropped off. But it means like
Sonna
how
bakana
can that
mane
be?
or something. Yeah.
Like I can't believe that. Like that's so ridiculous that would happen, or that's unbelievable. But whenever like an anime character, like let's say in a battle kind of show, they pull off some incredible technique that they weren't supposed to be able to do, then the villain is like "Sonna bakana," they can't believe that just happened. And
I think sometimes it just becomes sonna.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, sonna. Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that too. Yeah. So, yeah, there's so many of these phrases. We can't even get into all of them, but like tons of these. Like, if you watch Dragon Ball or any like battle type show, there's these phrases that keep coming up again and again and again, and you
Yeah.
will never use them in daily conversation.
I have a similar one where it's like omitted that confused
Yeah.
me when I first heard it from King of Fighters, just saying "kono," and that's all.
That
It
just
means
means
this.
this. Yeah. Kono, and then like probably some kind of insult would come after that. Maybe
Oh no,
that
it
would
was
be
just kono. Like it was. Well, you can add the insult, yeah, but I
yeah.
mean, you can also just drop it off, kono
Yeah.
baka or something, or kono
Right.
so or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, there's a lot of omission that happens in these, but yeah, and not just in insults, but just in general. So yeah, sonna bakana. That's a very common one. All right, what's up next? We don't want to go off too long here. So
You have another double one with jakten and gyakuten.
all right, so this is I don't even know. Like I've heard this around so many times. I specifically remember though, gyakuten would be like often in sports type stuff. So like Captain
Isn't that the
Tsubasa,
name of something?
gyakuten saiban,
Okay, yeah.
which is the Ace Attorney game.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me say what it means. So jakten means weak point. Ten would be point. Jaku weak. Jakten weak point. And gyakuten would be like
Reversal?
a turnaround,
Yeah.
a counter. It could be a counter. Like in when let's say a team is losing and then they make a comeback, right? Like that could be a gyakuten. Yeah, gyakuten often I would hear it in like sports type stuff. Hajime no Ippo, Captain Tsubasa. Gyakuten shori would be like a comeback victory, right? You're
I
losing, then
think
you
it
come
pops
back.
up in Dragon Ball too.
Probably
Like
any
when
kind
someone
of
powers up or something.
win loss kind of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. And then gyakuten, of course, often in these battle type shows, they have a weak
Mhm.
point, right? What's their gyakuten? What's their weak point? So super common. Yeah. You wanna get into the next one then? I think.
Yeah, this
Is that
one's
the
good
last
because
one?
it's famous both from anime, manga, and video games.
Yeah, I think this is the last one.
Pafu Pafu.
Pafu Pafu.
In
All right.
English, it's just Puff Puff.
Yeah, puff puff. Because
I think literally one guy invented this. I don't know.
yeah, it may very well be, but it's known. It's known because it was an influential guy. If it was him that did it, he's an influential guy. But anyway, Pafu Pafu is an onomatopoeia that describes the sound of something soft and bouncy, but the implication here is, and the only way that I've ever seen it used is to describe someone burying their face in large breasts.
The English translation you wrote on the notes is motorboat.
Motorboat. Yeah. So that is, I think, the best equivalent colloquial English term to this.
So we know what kind of anime Tony is watching.
Dragon Ball, because
That's actually where it's from.
yeah, this is where it's from. Yeah. So this is, I think in Dragon Ball Z it may come up a few times, but it was
I think
mainly
it's
the
old
original.
Dragon Ball. I don't
Yeah.
know if Z did it.
Z may have done it like once or twice, maybe, but it really is the original Dragon Ball when Goku's a little kid. And this all comes from the king of the perverts, right? Master Roshi, Kame Sennin.
Muten Roshi-sama.
Muten Roshi-sama, exactly.
My personal thing, I'm just going to insert it here as a Dragon Ball fan. They always call him Muten Roshi-sama, but somehow, like, other sources always call him Kame Sennin.
Yeah. Well, all the characters just call him Muten Roshi. Yeah. And they're I think kame-senin is like a vague
I think
term
he
that
gets called
people.
it. If I remember right, I think when someone talks about him, they
Yep,
call him Kame Senin.
that was
But
what I
then
was
from
trying to
that
get.
point on, when they actually meet him, he's just always Mutendo-sama.
That exactly it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I was trying to get to. So, anyway, he's the old guy that's very pervy, and this was an '80s show, so it was extra pervy. And when he comes across these, well, he calls them like pichi pichi gyaru, which are these young girls, very, especially big breasts and very sexy usually, or cute, and he wants to puffu puffu them. He asks
I
for
think he wants them
permission.
to puffu puffu him, is the way it's gone.
Well, I think so. Yeah, that's the good point. Yeah. So he asks. I've specifically rewatched some of these scenes on YouTube. There's a compilation, um, and there are scenes where he goes like, "Hey, would you puffu puffu me?" Like, and then they slap him. Right. That's the joke. Right. So he's asking these young girls to smother him with their breasts, and this is called puffu puffu. And especially anybody that grew up with this, they know this term. I suspect that younger kids may not know this term as much, but maybe it's still around. Maybe people are still aware of it. At
Which
least
is a
the
good
younger
segue
kids.
for me, because I think the place it's more popular, even though I think it did originate in Dragon Ball, is in Dragon Quest.
Uh-huh.
Wherein, oh, what's the first game that has it? I don't think Dragon Quest One has it, but maybe from like two onwards. Maybe it's three. I don't remember. Very early on, there's always some place, usually like in one of the casino cities, you'll find a bunny girl who will offer to puffu puff you if you like pay or do something. And the gimmick is always your character has to close your eyes. You get a funny sound effect, and then when you open your eyes, like the girl is not even near you. She's like sitting on the sofa or something, and like some other character sprites in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of left ambiguous what actually happened to you.
Yeah. So it's gone. Again, it Dragon Ball may have been the first to do it. And then
I
Dragon
never.
Quest as
That's the
well.
earliest I'm. Well, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
like live here 100 years ago though. Maybe Samurai Puffu Puffu or something.
Yeah. Pafu pafu de gozaru. Maybe.
It feels like something Toriyama just made up, but I'm
Yeah.
not positive.
I I think so. And again, this is actually technically an onomatopoeia, so it's the sound of the breasts like on the face, like puff 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 puff. Like obviously they make that sound. Um, so just so you're aware of the origins of that word, I guess. Yeah, I again, as far as we're aware, it was Dragon Ball. So yeah, I learned that word from Dragon Ball.
And in case you're not aware, co-creator of Dragon Quest is also the creator of Dragon Ball.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, he may have said like, "Hey, let's throw that in,"
He was only
Uh,
the art designer, but I don't doubt he was in the studio one day. He's like, hey, put this joke in.
yeah, or he probably like, "Hey, can you include a bunny girl because he's
Well,
drawn."
he drew it, so he just like put this in the game somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he drew Bulma as a bunny girl too in the early show. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, puff puff. Anyway, anything else you want to throw in there? Anything else that you wanted to share that you
I
can
guess I'll put
remember?
in one I found very recently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Sode no Sta?
Sode no shita literally means under the sleeve, but I'm not sure what is there like in English
Okay,
when you have
the
something up
exact
your
so
sleeve,
I
is
just
that
encountered this one like 2 weeks
uh
ago,
okay?
and it was Sode no Sta. I don't remember Sode no Sta O or Sode no Sta De, demo haratta.
Mhm. Oh, what does that mean?
Bribe.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like especially like in the kimono days, you would keep like stuff there, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so I'm still learning new phrases through video games. I was playing a new game just the other day, and you're given a task to get like a license, and you have to like go help a lot of people. And when you
Mhm.
finish it, the mayor's like, "Wow, you're the first person to ever do that." And he's like, "What, really? But there's other people with license." Like, yeah, but everyone else is just soda no sa.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, and these are like, for example, when you watch the news and you hear about bribes, it would be white,
Yeah,
right?
Wido's the normal phrase.
So these are very colloquial words and phrases, and sometimes like I don't know, like what do you call them, like kotowaza, like idioms and things like that, right? Like sayings
Except
that
Puff Puff. Everyone knows Puff Puff.
everyone, yeah, in the news they use puff puff all the time, like konbanwa puff puff this, right?
Puff Puff no jikan desu. Please bring your face close to the TV screen.
Yeah, close your eyes. um, so anyway, yeah, these can be phrases. So you unless you're actually doing sode no shita deals, or talking about them with friends that are doing that kind of stuff, again, bribes, you are probably going to learn a lot of this stuff from media, whether you're into
Mm.
learning novels or consuming movies or playing video games. Like that's where you're going to get some of the more, I wouldn't say obscure, but it's just words that don't normally come up in your daily life because there's no
Yeah.
need for them to.
Your daily life is like weather and whatever your job is.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, you really do learn so much from media in general, but you have to actively watch and pay attention. You go like, oh, I don't know that word. What does that mean? And check it out, look it
Yeah.
up, right?
There's still, even now for me, like there's still lots of gaps in my
Oh
Japanese
yeah.
for things I never looked into. Like someday I liked math as a kid, even though it's weird.
Mhm.
And it bothers me that I still don't know like math phrases in Japanese.
Yeah. No, you have to actively look that stuff up. I
Yeah.
studied a little bit of that when I was living in Japan because I wanted to be somewhat familiar with it.
Mm.
Um, but again, like I think if you want to know about a specific topic, like if you want to know about cars and how to talk about them, watch Initial
Mm.
D or consume something with cars, or that is a fun way to do that. If you want to learn about, I don't know, medicine or something, you might want to watch something or consume a novel or something that is about that. It'll be a little bit of a trudge at the beginning, a little bit annoying because you have to stop and look up stuff. But once you're a few episodes in, or once you're a few pages in, the same words keep popping up, so you can just keep, it reinforces the stuff that you learn in that first, beginning part.
I would recommend the medicine one because I think everyone who lives here knows basic body parts like arm, leg, hand, or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you actually go to a doctor and they start naming organs or naming bones, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know any of them.
Yeah.
What is
So
femur? Do you know?
femur, geez, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think if I hear it, gene. Oh, geez, I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think if I heard it, I would remember it. Yeah.
Even the names of organs, I know many of them, but I constantly
Mhm.
confuse which one's which.
Yeah, that can be confusing too. Yeah, I specifically made a list at one point and tried to learn as
Uh,
many as possible.
I know
Um,
Shinzo and I know No, and those are the most important ones. So anything else, I just like wait,
yeah,
point to it.
heart and brain, as we were talking about brain surgeon, no brain surgery. Yeah. So yeah, you do have to make the effort and make these lists sometimes, or just watch something. And yeah. Anyway, so but anime can totally be a great way to learn
Yeah,
Japanese. So yeah,
so
uh,
can games.
soaking games.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like I kind of said at the beginning, or maybe I didn't say it. Find
Mhm.
what you enjoy doing, like whatever your hobby is, and just do
Mhm.
that in Japanese.
Yep.
Whether that's like
Absolutely.
watching anime in Japanese, playing games in Japanese, playing card games in Japanese. I know people who play like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff in Japanese.
Yeah.
You'll not only learn that specific like language, but other things bleed into it.
Absolutely.
So you'll
Yeah.
learn phrases you weren't expecting to learn. If
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah. Like.
into cars, like read car magazines in Japanese.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And if you're into Pafu Pafu, you can read related material.
Puffoo
So
Puffoo Weekly.
yes, Pafu
I
Pafu.
imagine the centerfold, you just open it up and it's just like boob on the left side, boob on the right side, and just put your head in the book.
Yeah, you just put it in the book and you just wiggle it around.
That's every page. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's the whole magazine. Letter from the editor first, page, and then that's it. Table of contents, and then that's it. It's all Pafu Pafu after that. So
Going back to the Puffoo Puffoo Dragon Ball connection,
yeah.
I don't know if it's because of that, but the second Japanese theme song for Dragon Ball Z, so not the Chala Head, the other one, the We
Yeah.
Gotta Power,
We got a
one
power,
of the
yeah.
lyrics is actually like Oppai Ippai Boku Genki.
Yeah, oppai, ippai, oppai,
Is it
ippai.
Ippai
Yeah, it
Oppai?
was.
I don't remember the order.
I think it was ippai, oppai, maybe. But yeah, Boku Genki. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, there
So
is an oppai in there. I've never looked into why that is. If that was like, a specific reference. If it really is oppai. If it's something else that we're just not aware of. I don't know.
it's
But
in hiragana when it's got the subtitles, so
oh
I don't
geez.
know.
Yeah. I don't
It
know.
could be some play on a word I don't know, but most of the lyrics in those songs are kind of nonsense.
They kind of are. Yeah.
Especially that song.
Yeah. But I
I
love
think
that
another
song.
part's
It's
like Boca
catchy.
Yamcha Boy, which like
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. He's not even in Dragon Ball at this point, but whatever.
Yeah, he's off playing baseball. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. I don't know if you have any words that you learned from anime, let us know. Mail@japankyo.com. You can send us an email and subscribe to the show. We'll be back with more stuff soon. So see you next time.
Bye bye.